This week, we're going to focus on career moves, strategically making good moves and preparing yourself for the future. Building your escape pod while you're still employed. We've been spending the past 3 weeks talking about how to survive working for a bad boss, but here's what we need to address now. Surviving is not the same as thriving, and at some point, you're going to need to ask yourself whether you're planning to stay in this situation or whether you're building a way out. Today, we're going to talk about something crucial: how to build your escape pod while you're still employed so that when you're ready to leave, you can launch instead of scramble. There's a reason why career experts always tell you it's easier to find a job when you already have one. When you're employed, you're operating from a position of relative strength. You have income, which means you're not desperate. You can be selective about opportunities instead of taking the first thing that comes along just to get out of there. You can negotiate better because you have the option to stay if the offer isn't right. All of that leverage disappears the moment you quit without something else lined up. But there's another reason to build your escape pod while you're still employed, and it's psychological. When you're actively working towards an exit, the current situation becomes more bearable. You don't feel trapped anymore. You're in a temporary holding pattern with an expiration date that you control. Every day at your current job becomes less about surviving your bad boss and more about preparing for what comes next. That shift in perspective changes everything about how you experience your current difficulty. You're not a victim of circumstances because you're executing on a strategic plan. The mistake most people make is waiting until they hit a breaking point and before they start thinking about leaving. By that time, they're so burned out and desperate that they make poor decisions. They take the first exit without evaluating whether it's actually better. Or they quit impulsively without a plan and then spend months stressed about money while trying to find something new. Building your escape pod now means you get to leave on your terms, not because you've been pushed past your limit. The escape pod is systematically creating options for yourself while maintaining your current position. Think of it like building a bridge to the next opportunity while you're standing on shore. You're not burning anything down or announcing your intentions. You're just creating that infrastructure that will let you move when you're ready. The first thing to look at is your professional network. This means reconnecting with former colleagues and engaging with people within your industry. Build relationships that exist outside of your current toxic workplace. You're not asking for jobs. You're just making sure that when you do actively start looking, you have people who know your work and can vouch for you. Most good opportunities never get posted publicly. They're filled through networks before they even become job listings. If you're not actively maintaining and growing your network, you are invisible to these opportunities. The second component of this is skills and credentials. You have to look at the jobs you'd want next and identify any gaps between what you have and what they require. Maybe you need a certification. Maybe you need experience with a specific tool or methodology. Maybe you need to develop a portfolio of work that demonstrates certain capabilities. You have to start filling these gaps now while you're employed and you have some stability. You can take an online course and you can build side projects. You can get credentialed. You are essentially creating a resume that will be compelling for the opportunities that you actually want, not just the ones that you have to take out of desperation. And obviously there's a financial component, financial preparedness to all this. And this is the one a lot of people skip on because it's not very exciting as networking or building your skills. But having money saved fundamentally changes your options. If you have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved away, you can leave a toxic situation even if you don't have something else lined up. Guys, this is such true freedom. Having 3 to 6 months of expenses saved away in a very liquid account, which means you can access it if you lost your job or if you decide to leave or quit. That is your freedom. That is your strength. You can be selective during your job search instead of just taking the first offer because you need a paycheck immediately. You can negotiate from a place of strength because you're not financially desperate. I know saving money while dealing with a bad boss feels impossible because you're probably stress spending just to cope with the situation, and I get it, but even putting aside a small amount consistently builds it up over time. If you cut one expense that you're not actually enjoying, and we all have those, like I promise you can look through if you have a job and you're employed and you're in 2025, and there's probably some subscription models that subscriptions that you don't need to be subscribed to anymore. Like you haven't watched Hulu in months, cancel it, whatever it is, Netflix, whatever it is. Think of it as paying yourself to have options. Every dollar you save is buying a little more freedom and a little more time to make good decisions instead of desperate ones. The financial piece also includes understanding your benefits and what you'll need to replace when you leave this job. How does your health insurance work? Do you have stock or retirement contributions that you'd be leaving or have to switch over? Is there a bonus that you'd be forfeiting? You need to know these details at least once so that you can exit strategically and factor them into negotiations with your next job. There's a mindset shift that happens. Your bad boss becomes less threatening because you know the situation has an end date. Their criticism won't sting you as much because you're not planning to be there long enough for any of it to matter. Their impossible demands become more tolerable because you're viewing this as a temporary rather than a permanent. You're essentially creating a psychological distance from the situation, even when you're still physically in it. This doesn't mean you stop doing your job well or that you check out completely. You have to maintain your performance because you'll need references and you want to leave with your reputation intact. There's a difference between doing good work because you're desperate for your boss's approval and doing good work because you're a professional who takes pride in your output regardless of who's watching. The second approach is much healthier and actually produces better results because you're not emotionally entangled with the outcome. You also start seeing your current job differently. Instead of viewing it like a career, you view it like a resource that you're building, like you're using to build towards an actual career. You can learn, what can you learn here that could be valuable elsewhere? What projects can you take on that will look good on your resume? Maybe relationships that you can build with other people other than your bad boss who might be future references or connections. You can still extract value from your current situation while at the same time planning to leave it. Building this escape pod, both mentally, psychologically, and financially and physically, I guess not physically like an escape pod, but you know what I mean? Like you're actually concretely doing actions that are building an escape pod away from so that you can leave your job. It's not about being disloyal or uncommitted. It's about recognizing that your career and your future and your peace and your current state of presence and existence belongs to you. It doesn't belong to your employer, and it definitely does not belong to like one singular bad boss. Starting today, you can take one action towards building an exit strategy. You can update your LinkedIn profile. You can reach out to one person in your network. You can research one certification that you may need. You can put $50 away today into a separate savings account. You can do something concrete that moves you to having more options in the future. You might not use these options this week or next month, but 3 to 6 months from now, you could definitely use those. And so you want to be ready and be able to move with intention, not desperation.